Hey guys, welcome to another video. I'm Ghost and today I'm going to be explaining you guys how perks work in the game Multiversus. If this content that you enjoy watching, leave a like, subscribe and comment down below what you want to see next. And yeah, let's get right into the video. So I'm going to be showing you guys what different perks there are and what they're used for, how perks are used in 1v1 and 2v2 scenarios, and what I personally recommend using as perks. So first off scene, you see these 3 diamonds and then the big diamond. The big diamond counts for a character special perk. They have 2 each as of now, and these perks, they're different each character. And then the small diamonds are 3 perks that you can choose out of this entire list, and these perks they will help you like have a attack buff, have more defense, increase damage, decrease damage, and the list just goes on. So going over to the perks, you want overall to be always using all 4 of your perks. So you gain those perks through leveling up your character. The more you level it up, the more perks you get. And you basically, the moment you can use 4 perks, even though those are not the 4 perks you want to use, always use them. They're always an advantage. So all of you guys that just like saying, oh, but I don't have the right perks, so I'm not gonna use them. Just use the perks because they're a literal advantage. So yeah, going over the perks, we have offense perks, defense perks, and utility perks. So first the offense perks. Those are perks with increased damage, increased hit stun, etc. So short cannon sniper, your team projectiles, 7% increased damage to faraway victims. This is honestly one of my like lower listed perks, since hitting a projectile in the game is already like, I guess, you don't do it that much. It's not nearly as good as other perks in this video. And on a faraway victim, it will be way too easy for them to dodge that projectile. So unless you're playing some actual bots, I recommend not using this, unless you don't have anything else. Deadshot, 5% increased damage with projectiles. This would be a more viable, for if you're like a really big projectile fan, this would be a more viable perk. Still, I do not really recommend perks for projectiles, since there's just better perks out there that help you out more. Lumpy Space Punch, your team deals 5% increased damage with melee attacks in the air. Say 100% of your attacks are on the ground, or my bad, 100 damage, you do 200 damage, 100 damage on the ground, 100 damage is in the air. You'd only be doing this 5% over half of your damage that you're doing. Whereas there's other perks that will give you an overall damage boost, which in my opinion is a bit better. Collateral damage, 1 additional damage when knocked back. Enemies collide with a wall or floor. This one's pretty straightforward. When you hit someone downwards, for example, with a downlight, and they hit the floor, it does 1 additional damage. This one might not seem like much, but when you're hitting, and hitting crazy combos, that is gonna stack up to quite a decent amount of damage. I definitely recommend using this. For sure, if you like kind of get it early on when you're leveling up a character, this will be like one of your best picks. That's not all, folks. Ring out enemies while near the edge of the arena pushes the attacker back towards the main stage. I would not use this. I would not want my when I'm pushing someone, my opponent off stage, to, you know, get them pushed back to the main stage. For me, when I'm wanting to have someone off stage, I like to keep them off stage, you know, and get a game or finish them off, and not sit there when they're being pushed back. Then painted target, your team deals 5% increased damage when hitting enemy star and hit stun. We are doing a lot of it, like different attacks after each other, with hit stun. That's consistently like there, uh, you're gonna want to use this. This is, in my opinion, one of the best offense perks. 5% increased hit stun damage. This is as well as in the air as on the ground. So if you're hitting an aerial combo and a ground combo, counts for both of them. Crazy good perk in my opinion. Definitely use this once you unlock this. Snowball effect. In 1v1s, this is the best perks for offense in my opinion, because the enemy fighter is going to be always the highest damage fighter on their team because he's the only one. It's a 7% increased damage on all attacks, which is just crazy, and it will help you out a shit ton when you're like fighting the opponent, because it will just continuously be like increase damage, increase damage, increase damage. And even on 2-on-2s this works as well, since if their best player is gonna have the most damage, you're gonna have a counter to their best player, which in my opinion is like really good. Make it rain, 20% increased projectile speed. Again, projectiles can be, dodged, they can be evaded. Um, they are better, I guess, than these two with the increased damage when it hits, because you have more of a chance of hitting it, but still, I wouldn't recommend using this. Wildcat Brawler, your team deals 5% increased damage with melee attacks on the ground. This is basically the grounded version of Lumpy Space Punch. I guess same advice as Lumpy Space Punch, only half your attacks will have that increased damage, whereas these two attacks will have more increased damage on the overall picture. Refreshing Ring Out, your team refreshes air special attacks after Ring Out an enemy. So when you kill an enemy or KO an enemy, you get your specials back. I don't see that this is really needed that much unless you're going for crazy combos. But in 2-on-2s, you'll be doing team combos. You'll be good, and on ones, you don't need to have that refresh, since it will be refreshing the moment they are respawning. So I do not like. I'm not gonna tell you not to use this, but I'm not gonna. There's others that are just better out there. Like, I'm not gonna tell you to use this either. There's other perks that are better. Vertical damage boost. When you have a vertical character, Harley Quinn for example, 100% use this. Like, when you are doing a vertical combo and you have that 5% increased damage, that increased damage also accounts for more damage equals more knockback. So when you want to hit a cool 0 to death, this is one of the greatest perks you can have as a vertical character. Horizontal, same thing, but with horizontal characters. These two, only use them on strictly horizontal or vertical characters. When you have a character that can do both, I recommend just not using them, since it will be again be only 50% of your attacks or so that will have that increased damage. So then I would not recommend using it. Ice projectile, your team projectiles deals 2 stacks of ice debuff if they knock the enemies back. I don't know what's with all these projectiles, honestly. Like, I don't recommend using all the projectiles, but if you are a projectile guy and you use them a shit ton, I guess you could, use these. But then again, I would go with the Make It Rain Dog. And if you are an actual projectile guy, then also go with that shot. Fire projectile, same kind of as the ice one, but it ignites the enemy, so, well, you have to hit that projectile, which is pretty unlikely. Electric projectile, well, I guess that's also not really that important when you're not gonna be playing for projectiles but for combos. Damage boost on debuff hit. This is actually a good perk. I would recommend using it. There is other perks that I would prefer over this, but in some specific scenarios and some specific 2v2 setups, 100% use this, because this can be really good when used with the right team play. Debuff ability refund. Your team receives a 0.5 refund on ability cooldowns after hitting debuffed enemies. yeah, I guess you could use this if you're like a very ability heavy, very special heavy character, then this would be a great perk for you. But when you're a character based around light attacks, this would be very shit. It really depends on what character you're playing. But when you're like an ability heavy character, use that for sure. Dodge distance on a hit. So what you can do here is you can, when you're a character that is hitting someone once and then dodging out, hitting someone once, dodging out, instead of a combo character, you'd be 100% want to be using this, since this would like have you dodge out farther, distance better, and it helps out a ton. Whatsoever when you're a character going for combos, I don't see why you'd want to be dodging out after hitting someone, since you can follow up after a hit. You'd rather want to be dodging out after missing an attack, which that would make more sense, I guess. But if you're a very like one hit combo and dodge out character, yeah, go for it. Then going over to the defense tab, doing elasticity or I can't elasticity. Anyway, um, your team receives a 20% reduction to ground and wall bounce velocity. So when you're on higher health and you're being hit by a downlight into up air or a down air into up air, it will be true. You cannot dodge this on, I think, higher health, and having that 20% reduction will keep you from getting stuck in these strings. But I guess when you know kind of how all the characters work and how their approaches are and what their hitboxes are, you won't really be using this. If you are a support character, then the defense tab is really good for you, and you want to be using this for sure, since you're going to be helping out your teammate. It's going to allow them to not bounce as far off the ground as it usually would, which might help out for a wake up. It might help out for you to just dodge out barely. So definitely use this. There is others that are better, but in again very specific 2-on-2 setups, you can use that for sure. Stronger than ever, your team receives armor for 5 seconds after respawning. This is good, since when you spawn and your teammate is being double focused, he'd be getting armor, which I guess is great. Whatsoever, when you're like just spawning in, you wouldn't have to worry as much, since you're on 0 health and the enemy most likely is on higher damage. Uh, but if you're a support character and your offensive friend has just died, this is a very strong perk to use as a support character. Slippery customer. Your team receives 10% longer dodge invulnerability window. I guess this is good, because when your like teammate is playing offensive and he gets hung up in a combo and he receives a wake up and he wants to dodge it, giving him that little 10% longer to dodge helps him out a ton. It will literally make him like, I guess, dodge maybe 80% more of the attacks. Um, Whatsoever, when you're like an offensive character, I would not really use this perk. But as support character, 100% set is on, because you want to have that. There is one downside to this perk, being that if you get like dodge read, it will be easier to respond to someone who's dodging longer. For example, when spot dodging and have 10% longer invulnerability, they will be able to read the dodge, like the spot dodge, a little bit like better, or have a little bit bigger chance to kind of like react to it. Guess that's the only downside. Kryptonian skin, your team receives 4% reduced incoming damage. 100% have this as support character. Even as like some bruisers, and like I'd even seen a tank run this and do grey on like 200 damage. So it's a really good perk. Definitely a support character, you'd want to be using this. Wonder Twin Powers activate. Your team receives 6% reduced damage when near an ally. I guess you're not always going to be fighting near your ally. Definitely in twos, one wants to support, one's in the offensive. Because the offensive character is going to go off stage a lot. Support character might want to stay more on stage. Uh, so I think there's just better perks out there than this one. Boundless Energy. Your team receives 10% faster dodge and vulnerability recharge. So your dodge recharge, it actually recharges when being hit or when hitting enemies. So when you're a good player, you already are recharging while dodging. Which like you want to make the fullest out of your bar, obviously, but I guess when you're a good player, you know really well how to manage this, and you don't really need this perk. Dodge Reflect. Your team destroys enemy projectiles after successfully neutral dodging the projectile. Honestly, the projectiles, the everything about it, don't care about it. You can dodge that, you can get out. You don't need to worry about it. Just this is maybe the worst perk on the entire defense tab. Don't worry about it. Dodge armor. Your team receives armor for 1 second after successfully neutral dodging a projectile. I have just said that the worst perk was that, but I might change my mind to this. Even though that armor is good, and if they're throwing a projectile and instantly trying to dodge read you, that armor might work out. I still think it's terrible, honestly. It might actually it might not even beat how terrible this is, but it's pretty terrible. Ability hit refund, getting hit 10% ability cooldown refund when being hit with a projectile. Yeah, no. This one's definitely the worst. Okay, guys. So any one of these projectiles, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Projectiles are dodgeable. They are evadable. They are not so hard to evade, guys. Please just learn how to have control of the game. Just evade them, because you do not want to use these perks unless you really do not have another perk, which I cannot see how you can only have, unless you're really low level, have a reason to use one of these. Finally, over to the utility tab. This is really good for any type of character. I recommend having at least one of these utility perks into your stats, whether you're a support, whether you're anything. As support, I recommend going to defense and then one utility. As obviously maybe a bruiser or assassin, you might want to instead go with to offense and utility. First off, Tasmanian trigonometry. Swear to God, they're using the most like shitty words for this, because you can literally not say them out loud without like getting tongue tied. So, well, anyway, Tasmanian trigonometry. Well, we'll be seeing what that means in a second, but your team receives a 15% increased base knockback influence. I guess this is good if you don't want to be if you don't like want to, I guess, be knocked back too far. You get to, you get to kind of influence your knockback, and I guess it's good, but I don't really use it. I don't really like think it's of any value when you're having other perks that are better. Um, but yeah, if you get to kind of like have an influence in the angle of what you're like sent flying, you could do that. 10% increased jump speed. This is good when you want to have faster movement. Definitely an A tier perk, I guess. Leg day jump, increased jump height. So I don't know if you know this, but when you're normally trying to jump on a Platform you have to high jump it, but when you use this perk, I'm pretty sure you can low jump onto the platform also. So this is actually like almost an S tier perk. Also, being able to jump higher equals for you to get up higher in the air and have that extra little air for example, a vertical character to get that zero to death out there. So I definitely use this. Harley Quinn, for example, use this. Gravity manipulation, 10% increased fast fall speed. Your fast fall is good. I guess you could be using this in some scenarios, like trying to fast fall out of combos. But there's just other perks that are better. Hit me if you're able, 5% increased dodge speed. Um, Honestly, it's good, but that 5% increased dodge speed, you can sometimes uh, you can sometimes not dodge out of things, and when you can, you're already dodging, and your distance would be maybe smarter. It's a really good perk, but there's for me no reason to use this perk. And last stand, your team deals 10% increased damage after reaching 100 damage. So the increased damage won't matter because at 100 you should be able to knock them out fairly easy. So I reckon this is a pretty bad thing whatsoever if you're really needing that extra damage against the tank. I guess you could use it, but normally you won't be using this. The purest of motivations, 50% increased damage for 10 seconds when an ally is run out. So when your ally dies, you have 15% increased damage. This is one of the best, if not maybe the best utility stat. Nah, it's not the best because that's the 3 times jump, but it's one of the best since when you are you wanna play passive, but when you are being attacked and you need to attack back, this is really good. And also 10 seconds is a long time when you're fighting. Like, you might not realize, but 10 seconds you can do crazy shit, and having that 15% increased damage help you out a ton. So definitely use this. Um, by the way, you could get this as a support player if you want to support your offensive player on really offensive gameplay. 5% increased dodge distance. This is, I guess, a better choice than the dodge speed because I prefer to have a bit more spacing than speed. I guess if your input is fast enough, that 5% speed is like gone anyway. So I guess use this one instead if you're really about the dodging out. Like the dodge in, the dodge out characters that do one hit then dodge out, then both of these are really good. But otherwise, I don't know. Dodging out of a combo, I guess, but then also I prefer the dodge distance. That's personal preference. 10% increased air acceleration. Actually, I think this has downsides and upsides. Upsides being when you're in the air and you accelerate to the sides, it's good. Because you'll be able to get faster back to the wall. Downside being that it would also alter your going outwards, which might cause you to get too close to the wall and be gimped or whatever. If you're really good with aerial control, you want to be faster in the air, you can. But yeah, it's a tough perk to use. This would work for horizontal characters, since if you need to move a lot horizontal, it will work out well for you to have that extra bit of speed. Triple jump, the best perk. When you hit someone, you have an extra recovery option, which is jumping one more time. It's crazy good. I recommend this for any character 1v1, 2v2, I don't care. On 2v2, you just have the support select this, or have the offense select this as their third pick, but always have this. It's the craziest perk there is because it literally allows you to get back to the wall when you're very far out and you only have, say you have no utility, nothing, and you just barely hit an enemy with an attack, you're able to jump and make it just to the wall, all the way from the outside. You'll be able to just make it back to the wall, and on the wall you have also 3 jumps: one jump off the wall and then 2 jumps up. So it works out really, really well. And also when you're going for aerial combos, having that extra jump really means a lot. So have this in your perks. Like, once you unlock this, use it. It's the best. Coffeezilla, 10% reduced ability cooldown rate. When you're a really ability heavy character, I get you'd be using this. Otherwise, leave this perk alone and choose others. Speed, force assist, 4% increased base movement speed. This is a good perk. That extra increased speed is gonna help you out whatsoever. This will not be overruling the 3 times jump if you had to choose between those, but it's in a close second. Use this when you're like, I guess, a really grounded character, because you'd be able to get out and into things faster. And then you could combine this with the dodge speed, which I just said the dodge distance is better, but when you're in and out character, I guess the dodge speed also works. Ability refund on dodge, 10% ability cooldown refund on dodging on attack. So when you're dodging and you get that ability refund, I guess it works out in specific 2v2 scenarios, but I wouldn't recommend this in ones, honestly, because like there's other perks out there that's better. You hear that from me a lot, but I genuinely feel that with only 3 slots and so many perks, there's other ones that just have priority. And in 2v2, I guess this would work out, because if you have an ability heavy teammate and you yourself have some good abilities, you'd be in a very specific scenario or very specific matchup be using this. Otherwise, I would prefer other perks. And then the worst possible utility perk. It even like makes me cringe when I just look at it. The projectile. Oh my days. I get it. You get 3 grey healths for 5 seconds. You get 3 extra health for 5 seconds after using a projectile to knock someone out of the stadium, when a projectile is easily evadable. I get it, Multiverse. I get it, Warner Bros. You love projectiles. But this is a shit perk. Please keep this out of your perk list unless you have nothing else. Yeah, so that's basically all the perks. If you have questions about any specific perks, any specific matchups, and you want to know what perks to use, you can ask it in the comments down below. I'll be responding ASAP. And for any more questions about the big diamond, I'm going to be addressing each one of those on separate videos for the characters. They will be releasing on my account soon, so when you want to go over to my channel, and you'll like see tomorrow maybe already my first character guide will come out. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out. Right now, I'll just quickly go over it. That it just has, 2 perks, and they're character specific, and what perk to choose for each character I'll go over in another video. That was my perk guide. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, and yeah, peace out.